The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas, critical opinions in Southeast Asia. Hi, this is Arlene and you're listening to Durian ASEAN for our second segment of today, which is at our Durian Heat, where we discuss or have a dialogue with our guests from Southeast Asia. So today we have another guest. He's all the way from Indonesia. His name is Aldo Ikhwanul Khalid. He is the conceptor of Wayang Lepas, which is a puppet shadow initiative by a group of young Indonesians. And today we are going to talk about Perang Bintang, or in other words, Star Wars, Jedis in Shadows. So hi Aldo.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, so you, when I first saw the word Perang Bintang, I was actually amazed because this is something rare or something that is new in today's society, where you actually incorporate something from the past like shadow puppet or wayang kulit into something that is new like sci-fi movie Star Wars. Why? What prompted you to do so?
Well, Arlene, I think the decision to pick Star Wars as our first project was because we love Star Wars and we know Star Wars.
You're a huge Star Wars fan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we are. Almost all of our team in Wayang Lepas were big Star Wars fans.
So what prompted you to dwell into traditional arts to tell a story about Star Wars rather than, making animation or anything more digital?
Well, I guess it started during a visit to one of Indonesia's Wayang Museum. We got several actually, and while there, I noticed how cool the shape, the craftsmanship, and the overall visual effect of it. But we are confronted with the fact that wayang, as a traditional method of entertainment, has largely been left behind because they just cannot cope with much easier channel of entertainment like television or the internet. And while we saw that, we think to ourselves that wouldn't it be cool if we can boost a wayang performance by playing a more easily digestible story and more popular stories, but while at the same time performing the whole wayang experience without leaving anything behind. The visual, the sound, and just the whole wayang kulit performance, but with a more popular and easier to sell stories.
I see. Let's talk about your background. You previously have been, before you joined Wayang Lepas, which is an interesting initiative, perhaps a bit of your background on how you somehow end up with Wayang Lepas and, creating this really amazing marriage between modern arts and also traditional culture.
Oh, okay. Well, my background was started from the Star Wars community, I guess, for this one, because I co-founded the biggest Star Wars fans club in Indonesia called Order 66. We got around 2,000 members in Indonesia right now. While at the same time, I'm also a part of a group of artists and musicians that is called the Collective 59, and we have produced some art project and other art performance through the years, and I guess it's only natural that that we decided to combine these two interests into some sort of performance that will look cool to both communities.
Mm-hmm. Is it something new or is it something rare for Indonesians to be active in local culture, especially using modern material or ideas?
It has been done. Particularly with Wayang, a lot of people share the same thought as me. The need for Wayang to restructure or perhaps reinvent itself into a more popular form. There has been a couple of Wayang movement, pop culture Wayang movement, I guess you could call it that. There is Wayang, something called Wayang Bocor, Wayang Modern, Wayang Kampung. They all share the same idea of making a Wayang performance that can be more easily accepted by the modern population. What set us apart here is that we want the same thing, but at the same time, we do not want the Wayang that we make to lose any of their identity and their pakem, it's called in Wayang. This small rules and meaning that is embedded into each lines, each slant of nose, shape of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Wayang these rules, and we wanted to make a pop culture Wayang performance, but we do not want to lose any of the pattern whatsoever.
So do they look anything like Star Wars characters, if like that?
Yes, somewhat.
Maybe a bit of explanation on how you incorporated elements of Star Wars in the traditional wayang kulit puppets.
Okay, what we wanted to make is an adaptation of Star Wars, but the one that can exist in the wayang world. For example, there are no spacecraft in wayang, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So
what do you use for this to replace the spacecraft?
We replace some of them with boats, and we replace some of them with giant birds. As you know,
like Garuda, is it?
Yeah, in Star Wars, they got this ship called X-wing fighters.
Mm-hmm.
And in wayang, there are stories where the main characters ride a big giant Garuda birds into battle.
Mm-hmm. I see. What is
we adapted. Yeah.
So continue from where you said just now.
Okay, so we adapted the X-wing fighters into giant Garuda birds called Garuda Gandaloro.
Wow.
In wayang Sas.
Interesting name. Cool.
We also changed the whole name of the characters, like Luke Skywalker. We renamed him into Lukman Jajak Angkasa.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Indonesian name. Jajak Angkasa. Jajak means walking. Angkasa means sky. So, in a sense, Jajak Angkasa still means Skywalker.
I see.
And because his name is Lukman, if another character call him, they will call him Luke. And yeah, he's still Luke.
Wow. So what about the whole story concept? How did you give a thought about it? Because some elements of the Star Wars, you change it to a more Indonesian version, but the storyline, is it remain the same, or you try to make it more locally adapted?
The storyline remains the same. It's only the characters and maybe certain places or certain events that were changed a little bit to make it more in line with the wayang tradition. Mm. You'll be amazed at how little is needed to change Star Wars into a wayang story.
Really?
Yeah, because basically Star Wars is a fairy tale, a fantasy tale.
I want to ask, what about famous characters like Princess Leia with her two buns? She was infamous being portrayed like that. And also Darth Vader with his long black cloak. And of course, you have a few other important supporting characters like that Beast, where he's always accompanying Harrison Ford everywhere.
Chewbacca.
So, do you change all those characters into something else?
Yes, yes we do. Yes we did. For Princess Leia, we changed her name to Raden Leia. Raden is like in Indonesian, in Japanese, it's a title for princess. So Raden Leia Kusumawardhani is the name for our Princess Leia.
Mm-hmm.
As for Darth Vader, we changed his name into Mahapatih Romoglap. Mahapatih it's a title, I guess it's equal to Prime Minister or Minister, while Romo is an honorific and it also means father, while Gelap means dark. So Romo Gelap in a sense means Darth Vader.
Oh, I see. That's interesting. And what about Chewbacca? That's my favorite character.
Chewbacca, we renamed him into Chewie, just Chewie, because
that's cuter.
Yeah, well, Han Solo likes to call Chewbacca Chewie, and Chewie is a name that can sound Indonesian. For the characters himself, we take the character of the monkeys, like from Ramayana. It's called Wanara, and we make Chewbacca into a big monkey because they got monkey characters in Wayang. So it's only natural that if Chewbacca were to be translated into Wayang, he will appear as a monkey warrior.
I see. That's very interesting. So how long it took you guys to actually assemble all the whole characters and the storyline and the set production and all into one? Did it took a long time? Because just now you say it's quite easy, but the timeline itself, was it long?
We started thinking about this performance in 2012. So we got some sort of sketches, and the basic storyline were written from 2012. But then we don't do anything to it for more than 2 years. Until just 2 months ago, when we decided, okay, we cannot let another year pass without realizing our plan. So that's when the whole team just went crazy and started working overnight and finalizing the story and translating the whole characters. And just around 1 week before the show, we started producing the puppet themselves.
So we will take a short break. When we return, we will discuss more about Perang Bintang and also Wayang Lepas. The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas, critical opinions in Southeast Asia. Hey, this is Arlene and we are back again with our guest of today, Aldo. He's the conceptor of the initiative, the shadow puppet initiative called Wayang Lepas, and currently they had been embarking on the production of Perang Bintang, or Star Wars in English, inculcating local traditional culture as well as modern sci-fi stories. I want to ask about Perang Bintang more. We already talked about the character and how the journey for you setting out Wayang Lepas and conceptualizing the whole Perang Bintang. But how was the audience reaction towards the whole idea of it? Because I think you were even being snagged by the media for doing something that is out of the ordinary, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. We have put, I think you can call it 1.5 performance so far now, because we got one full performance and we got something like a half performance a couple of weeks ago. During all those performances, I think the audience reacted in the way that we wanted, that we intended they should react. In that they laugh at all the jokes that we make, and they clap, and we make some sort of dramatic entrance. I suspected that some of our audience originally come because it was, well, this is so cool because this is new, or this is like, it's like, it sounded so hip. It's, I think I should watch this because my friend will think that it's cool. But halfway through the performance, she started to enjoy watching it for what it is.
I see. Mm-hmm.
And I think it was quite a big success for us because the audience, I get some audience that is from Star Wars communities, so they know Star Wars but they don't know Wayang. And I also get some of the audience that do not know anything about Star Wars, meaning that they see it for what it is, a Wayang performance. But at the end of the show, everybody is clapping and smiling and repeating the jokes that we put on the performance. So yeah, I think it's one of the indicator of the performance, success of the performance. I think when you get your audience repeating your jokes.
I see. That's very interesting. But what about because I know in Malaysia, when it comes to Wayang Kulit, they always have some element of humor. How do you incorporate a more localized humor in a very westernized film like Star Wars or Perang Bintang in this case?
Well, in traditional Wayang Kulit performance, they got this main story, the one that tells the drama of the characters. So you got these characters that is playing the main story, but you also got these 2 or 4 characters that is called the Punakawan. They are what is known as the comic relief in Western culture, maybe. In traditional Wayang Kulit performance, the Punakawan consists of Petruk, Semar, Gareng. They're all like servants to the main characters, but they do funny stuff, and they from time to time they will make reference to current news or some political issues. That's why Wayang Kulit performance will never be the same each time it's performed, because the wayang will, the dalang, the puppet master will take some current issue and incorporate it to the story through these comic relief characters called Punakawan.
What kind of current issues that do you mean? I mean, for example?
In Wayang Lepas, we decided that the 2 droids in Star Wars, R2-D2 and C-3PO, they are already playing the parts of comic relief. So it's only natural that they were translated into Punakawan in our performance.
I see. Interesting. For you, personally, I want to know more about Star Wars, since I know you are into Star Wars. Why Star Wars? Or are you planning to do more modern movies or modern sci-fi and change it into Wayang Lepas? Change it into Wayang Kulit.
Yeah, that was the goal when we started this Wayang Lepas movement or Wayang Lepas project. we are not going to stop at Star Wars because we think that there are so many stories, so many good stories that can be adapted and performed as a wayang kulit performance. For example, we are already talking about Harry Potter, or maybe the Game of Thrones, or maybe something that is even more interesting, like, I don't know, the Call of Duty or Halo video games, maybe.
That's interesting. Can't wait for it if you have it in Malaysia.
That would be interesting.
Talking about Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of years back, or a few years back, there's a similar sort of incorporation of shadow puppet performance with modern sci-fi, and it happens to be Star Wars 2. They call it Peperangan Bintang. How different is Peperangan Bintang with Perang Bintang from your side of Wayang Lepas?
Well, in Wayang Lepas, we are not trying to make a Star Wars puppet. What we are trying to make is a movement to perform modern stories in wayang kulit performance. I think the one that is made by the Malaysian artist, Peperangan Bintang, it's quite interesting. It's really good, but we are going on a different road than him, because we are trying to preserve the pakem, or the traditional visual language of the wayang. I think it makes some of our character not so easily recognizable as a Star Wars character, but that is where the fun started, because when you know Star Wars and you first look at, for example, our Darth Vader, people would start thinking, and he don't look like Darth Vader, but after a while they started to see, oh, okay, that represented his cape, that represented his mask, and I think it's this game that make our puppet interesting.
Interesting. How many people are working in Wayang Lepas right now?
Well, we got 5 puppet masters or dalang. We got a team of graphic designer. They're from a studio called Monophonic, and they consisted of around 8 graphic designer, and they are the one that make the final look of the wayang. And then we got our logistic crew, around 3 or 4. We got our volunteer team of wayang maker, because we make our own wayang.
Did you get advice from older folks on how to do this? Because I'm sure it's a dying art. I'm not sure in the case of Indonesia, the younger generation, have they taken over the art form?
Yeah, we got some advice from a couple of scholars. They're actually art researchers that have done some thesis on the visual aspect of wayang. So when we want to know certain rules or certain what we can or what we cannot do, we have some brainstorming sessions with them.
And what are the challenges of making the whole production?
It's something new, so we must find new ways to make things, or more correctly, we must refine the old ways of doing things. For example, the process of designing these wayang characters, I'm pretty sure that in the old days it's quite a common practice maybe, but today we must relearn how to draw people or characters in the wayang ways, and we must relearn how to make the puppets, because not many people know how to make wayang puppets these days. And of course, staging the performance itself, like there are certain steps or certain I don't know what you call it, chapters that you have got to follow in setting up wayang stories. Mm-hmm. So in the process, I guess what happened was we learned wayang.
I see. Okay. When you were focusing on doing the Perang Bintang, are there any party that approaches you outside of Indonesia that are actually appreciative of the kind of work that you are doing right now?
Well, you are one, for example.
Because it's very much localized in Bandung, right?
Yes, we built it in Bandung. It's originated in Bandung, but we really would love to be able to take a roadshow, maybe show it to have a performance in some other city.
Mm-hmm. But what about the younger generation? Are young Indonesian into all this mixture of traditional arts and modern sci-fi stuff?
I think they do, because they certainly show interest in what we do. Actually, we never completely abandon wayang, but to the younger generation, wayang is just something that you see in souvenir shop, or if somebody wanted to make a product or an event poster or store decoration, and they wanted to look Indonesian, they will incorporate some wayang image. I think that is the limit of the wayang that they know today. Mm-hmm. What we wanted to do with Wayang Lepas is to make them know wayang and understand wayang.
Mm-hmm. But do you have plans to expand it outside of Indonesia? Because even in Malaysia, the knowledge and also the appreciation towards traditional culture like wayang kulit is somehow lacking, and even the art itself is dying. Perhaps I guess the younger generation, like yourself, for example, should be the one trying to reinvent or give a breath of fresh air into the old culture itself.
Yeah, we would really love to see it happen. We would really love to share our performance or our interpretation of the old culture to the world.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we'll take another short break, a second one, and when we return, we will talk more about the future of wayang kulit in Indonesia and also beyond.
The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas, critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene, and we are back again with Aldo. He's the conceptor of the Wayang Lepas. Right now, he's promoting Perang Bintang, which is the traditional shadow puppet version of Star Wars. So we already talked a lot about Star Wars, about Perang Bintang, and about wayang kulit as well. But what is the future of wayang kulit in Indonesian society? Do you think the future is brighter now, especially with younger people like yourself taking more control into reinventing wayang kulit and what wayang kulit ought to be?
Well, to be realistic, I guess you can never have wayang kulit regain its position as the main form of entertainment like it was hundreds of years ago. But I think the idea of having this sort of legacy and being the pride of having having this cultural wealth from our nation. It's what the younger generation already felt. But maybe to make wayang kulit relevant again in this era, you have got to put it in some sort of a new position, maybe, because it can never compete with movies or television, but maybe we can find some other position in which wayang kulit really excel at its entertainment form, a position where even a movie or television cannot compete.
Mm-hmm. Right now, what are the challenges that wayang kulit are facing besides it being a dying art in a lot of places?
The one that we face personally, it was getting quite difficult to find the cowhides that we can use to make wayang kulit, because not demand were put on wayang kulit materials, so they end up using it for other purposes. So it's one of the main problem that we faces. And maybe the second one would be to repackage it or to marketing it as more than just a curiosity or a gimmick, but as a serious form of performance in by itself.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to a serious form of performance, what are the elements that are needed in terms of, do you think the whole concept of wayang kulit should be rebrand or change, or I guess make it should evolve, in other words, compared to the current concept of wayang kulit?
One of the biggest problem with wayang kulit were most of the stories in traditional wayang kulits were I don't know what you call it. They are connected to religion, because Ramayana and Mahabharata, they involve gods that the Hindu people actually pray to. So in that case, it make the wayang kulit performance heavily connected to the world of mystic and
trance as well.
It make them holy, I guess.
I see.
In the ways that people do not people approach wayang kulit very carefully and cautiously, because they don't want to do to offend anything or to do something that is offensive to other religion, while actually wayang kulit is just a form of entertainment, and it was the story itself that is holy. That is why with Wayang Lepas we wanted to incorporate more modern story that are safe, that are free from any connection to religion whatsoever, and perform it as a wayang kulit performance.
Mm-hmm. So what's your next project after this? Or are you going to seriously promoting Perang Bintang again? Because your last performance was December last year.
Yes.
Or last month, in other words.
Well, we wanted to make another Perang Bintang performance, maybe with a bigger venue and a bigger audience, before we started thinking about writing another script for Wayang Lepas. But at the moment, we are still looking for a suitable sponsor or maybe media partners that can facilitate this.
Mm-hmm. So it's very much something that is in progress with Wayang Lepas.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about other elements within Wayang Kulit. What are the unique thing about Wayang Kulit that people who are not familiar with the art itself that they might not know? Of course, in English it's called shadow puppets because you don't really show the character, you show the shadow of the characters. But what are the other elements? You mentioned just now about dalang. What is that? What are their roles?
Well, dalang is the puppet master, and dalang is the heart of the Wayang Kulit exhibition performance. Because in a Wayang Kulit performance, you got the dalang, and then you got the gamelan. It's the musical orchestra behind it. But they are all under the control of the dalang. As much as he controls the puppet, he also controls the music. Because Wayang Kulit performance is essentially never no two performance is the same, because a dalang might change the way he tells a story, or he might change a dialogue, he might put a joke here, he might put a joke there, or he might perhaps even respond to the venue that he is making the performance at the moment. It's all these tiny things that make no two performance is ever the same with Wayang Kulit.
I see. Interesting. What are the other elements? Because for me, the younger generation, I found that the old performance of Wayang Kulit seems to be very, although they incorporated a lot of humors and all that, but the language is still very much the local, in this case Malay Kelantanese language, because in Malaysia it would be from Kelantan, a lot of the dying arts, and the way that it's being performed is very much traditional, even the storyline itself, which is great. In a way, you retell stories from the folklore stories from the past, but if you want to get the younger generation to be connected with Wayang Kulit and still get them to understand the uniqueness of Wayang Kulit, what are the other things about Wayang Kulit that you think young people ought to appreciate, or something that they should know about it?
Well, the answer is easy. It should be a story that they are familiar with. Because even in the old days, the traditional Wayang Kulit performance only performs stories mainly from the book of Mahabharata or maybe Ramayana. And in Japanese, I think in Japanese in the old days, all the population knows the story by heart. So when they see a performance, it's not that they are seeing a new story, but they are seeing an enactment of a story that they already know. It's how they appreciate the dalang and the music, because they can compare it to other performances that they have seen in the past. I think the way that the younger generation can really connect with Wayang Kulit is for them to see a performance playing a story that they are already familiar with. In this case, for example, Star Wars.
That's a very interesting view. So any last comment before we wrap things up?
Well, this is a fun project, and I think it's really interesting that when we started to make it, we are thinking about let's try to make our version of Wayang Kulit. But later on, when we started to do some research, and we are confronted with things that we don't know about, what we end up doing is, okay, then we have got to know about this. When we are confronted with the complexity of the gamelan music, the obvious answer was, okay, then we must learn gamelan. So in the end, doing a project like this is the easiest way for us to learn or understand something that we do not know before. So I guess it's it's really a very good incentive for doing things like this.
So anyway, thank you very much. Thanks for sharing, taking your time to share with us your views on Wayang Lepas and also Perang Bintang. All the best.